I know Uber means so many things to so many people. Sometimes it's confusion, sometimes it's hatred, sometimes maybe it's good news. But how are you going to use this, or how are you using this long term for job creation in Nigeria?
So I think in most cities that we go in a lot of cities that we go into, if you look at Uber in the first 2 years of business, were mostly, it was London, Paris, San Francisco, New York. These were cities that have an existing transport, a working transport system of sorts, and we were complementing that transport infrastructure. When you start to think about the emerging markets, particularly a place like Nigeria, you're not really complementing that much of an infrastructure, right? You think about the sheer size of this, just some interesting numbers for you. Lagos City is 9 times the size of Paris. The population of Lagos is almost triple the size of Bangalore, more than double. It's almost the size of New Delhi. The density is 3 times the density of New Delhi. The GDP of Lagos is bigger than the combination of Jamaica and Ghana, 2 countries. So when you start to think about the sheer potential of this city, we haven't even scratched the surface. You think about the fact that, as you say, I think if you go up to 21, it's about, under 21 is about 40%. So if we look at from there down, under 18 is 50%. You think about these people and they're going to become employable at some point. They're going to be looking for jobs at some point. They're going to have lives that they need to run, families that they need to get around. And ultimately, you can move around different cities, have different infrastructure, architecture, food. The one thing that does not change in every city is that people want to move from point A to B. Now, of course, when you come with change, it does, naturally, human nature is to question change. If human nature didn't question change, then you're not changing anything, right? So when we go into these cities, we find that some markets, and there are a lot of them, more than 30% in the US is 30% of the cities now are actually regulated, where the governments understand what we're trying to do. I'm very proud to say that in Nigeria we have a very innovative, in Lagos specifically, we have a very innovative government that understands what we're doing, from the banking sector that's supporting us, to the OEMs, to insurance providers, right down to small and medium enterprises. So what are we doing in terms of job creation? In most cities, you have the different facets of Uber. On the one hand, you have the driver, who's the sort of what I call the ambassador at the end of the day. That's the person that you see. You don't see me when you go into an Uber. You have a lot of these drivers that come into the office to be onboarded, hundreds on a weekly basis, in some cities thousands, and that's the goal for Lagos. And they've never used a smartphone before. Some of them actually don't know how to read and write. Some are bachelor's degree holders who've been looking for work for 2-3 years. They graduated from finished NYC, and they're waiting for what to do. They come into Uber, they work very flexible schedule. You can go online and go offline when you want. The car is not that easily accessible in Nigeria, whereas you can go finance a car in London or in New York. So what you actually find is you have other 9-to-5ers, other young, what I call 9-to-5 hustlers, who go to work, and Nigerians are innately entrepreneurial. So when you tell them that you can take that car that's packed outside from 8 o'clock to 6 p.m. and it's just sitting there and you can make money with it, they go and employ one of these young graduates or school sack leavers. They employ them and then they come and work with them, and they have a rev share model. So that driver feels as though I have an incentive to actually go out and drive. You find them actually begging, in fact, there are people turning out petrol from their generators during the petrol scarcity into their cars to Uber. So you have those opportunities, but then there's a layer even beyond that. We are now talking to some very serious financial institutions who are looking at creating ways where a 21-year-old could walk into one of these sort of shops and pick up a car and finance it over a 24 to 36 month period without the credit score, without the usual sort of requirements that you need. So so far we've created over 600 job opportunities. That's excluding full-time, that's excluding my team of 3. But our commitment by the end of 2016 is to have that number around 3,000. So these are very sort of big bets. And the other key one I must add as well is we have a commitment by 2020 as a business to have 1 million women working as employable drivers on the platform. So there's a lot of paradigm shifting that's going to happen there to sort of create this driving this opportunity for women. And again, just to add to Nicholas, a lot of the female drivers I see in Lagos are all 5-star drivers. 5-star. So.